CancelJoeNami. Welcome to the podcast. We have some interesting stories for you today. We're gonna do a couple of the topical stories. Well, everything's topical, but we're gonna do a couple positive stories today. Because you know what? I looked at these stories and I'm like, they're miserable, but they're fun, I think. The fucking Pope is dead. One of the popes, Ratzinger. He changed his name to Pope Benedict, but his name is actually Ratzinger, Joseph something Ratzinger. He was a little German guy. He kind of looked like Nosferatu if you were a cinema person. But anyways, this guy, he was the one who was responsible for just moving the priests around. So it's not the current pope that's dead, unfortunately, but it's the last one. So this guy, Pope Benedict, he called himself. They always rename themselves. Like, it's almost like it's their stripper name. You know, he can't be bothered to use his real name. So he changes it to Pope's Eggs Benedict, and he moves all the priests around instead of firing them. Or, God forbid, I mean, all right, on one hand, you could fire. You got a couple decisions when you find out your priests are diddling the kids. Kid diddlers, as Oxford Dictionary would say. So you got option one. You could move them to a different church if you find out that they're a pedophile. Option two, you could fire them. Option three, you could report them to the police for committing a crime and possibly ruining a kid's life. I'm telling you, that shit is very hard to unwire. I'm in years of therapy, and I've been in therapy for 6 years because my father's a fucking basket case. And, God, it is so, it's like rewiring, like try to rewire your television. Rewiring your childhood is harder than that. Although TVs are mostly digital now. But anyways, this guy, the Pope, Ratzinger, he moved the priests around, and one of the priests that he moved ended up, God, I feel terrible even saying this, but it's not my fault. I didn't do it. He molested 100 deaf kids. Deaf, D-E-A-F. I don't know why I spelled it out, but some of them were deaf. And, God, that just hurts, right? That just hurts us. I mean, I don't care who you are. I don't, CancelJoeNami, he's still got a heart, and he cares about deaf kids. I do. He molested Helen Keller. No, that's not authentic. But part of the reason that authorities think that he did this is because they're deaf, and they couldn't talk about it. They couldn't tell anyone that they had gotten molested, but it's like, what, they couldn't use sign language, just tell the cops, like, hey, that guy did this to me. He made me suck his tiny priest cock, stuff like that. So, but who am I to judge? But anyways, the Pope should have fired this guy, but instead he's like, well, he committed a sin. All right, and I forgive him because I'm the Pope and I have the power to forgive. Maybe that's what it is that priests all forgive each other because they can go to confession and be like, all right, you diddled some kids. Well, I'm going to forgive you because we have all those powers. So anyways, this Pope is dead now. And so I tweeted that, well, actually, a few days before he died, the Vatican... The guy's 95, and the Vatican is asking for prayers. I don't know why I'm using air quotes all the time. The Vatican is asking for prayers for this Eggs Benedict molester. And so I tweeted, we can't hear your prayers, which I thought was pretty ironic. Maybe not funny, but at least clever. It was kind of funny. I thought it was funny, at least while I tweeted it. yeah, man, what a tough world we live in. So that's the first kind of sad story. Don't worry, I got a couple fun stories coming up after. The other one, do I have any from my personal life? The hell did I do? Something, I'll think about it. Something weird happened in my life, always. Idaho serial killer. Brian Kohlberger or something. Basically, if you haven't been listening, here's what's happening. He is a PhD grad student in Idaho studying criminal justice. The guy is studying criminal justice, criminology. My producer's crawling out of the room. This is hilarious. The guy's studying criminal justice and is going on Craigslist, like asking people, like, I want to know how you think when you commit crimes. It's like, what does this guy think? Just ask himself. But anyways, fuck, there was something interesting about the case. What was it? Shit. It was like he was doing something. Well, basically, he got caught. He went to his parents' house. He was driving around kind of a shitty car. How did he kill them? I forgot how he killed them, but it's just interesting to me that, oh, yeah, and then the police they hold a press conference after they catch him at his parents' house for Christmas. Merry Christmas. He drives to his parents' house in Pennsylvania, and that's where the police decided to arrest him. Ruin his Christmas. Unbelievable. You know, it's like we already lost the Pope. Does this family really need any more trauma? I mean, they live in Pennsylvania. You know they're Catholic. You know, so they're already grieving the loss of the Pope. And now these parents got to find out that their son is a serial killer. Jesus, come on, have some compassion. So the police hold a press conference and they say, listen, we don't want everyone to be sad. You know, this is not the end. This is just the beginning. Like, I don't know. They came out and they were trying to do some, like, positive thing, you know, but give a speech, some positive speech. But it is the end, really, if you think about it. It's the end for all of the people that he killed. This is not a beginning for any of them, unless you believe in heaven. But I don't want to be in heaven if my in-laws are there. You know, if anyone that I don't like is in heaven, I'm not going to be enjoying it. So this is a real point to be considered. Oh, also, someone was commenting that this is called a wife beater. I think we need to rename it to the non-binary beater. You know, you don't want to assume your wife's gender. Okay, that's one of the worst crimes you can make. Wives get very upset when you do that kind of stuff, when you assume their gender or beat them. Which I don't know. I don't know which of those two they're more upset about, but probably the gender thing. What else? I was thinking, I had an idea for an app. You swipe left or right to find a father-in-law. Because this guy is driving me crazy. So he invited himself to stay a month at our apartment once. And then, what was the other crazy thing he did? Well, he said, I'm not good enough. He said he's not going to walk her down the aisle. Yeah, I'm getting married in May because I think it's a good idea strategically and financially. I'm looking... My 401k is to get married and try to inherit everything. Game of Thrones style. No, I'm getting married because we've run out of date ideas. It's so hard. Yeah, we've tried every restaurant on Yelp, and it's time to get married. But... well, this chick was also dated me while I lived in a van. So I'm like, you know what? I owe it to her. She's been there through everything. That's the least I can do. You know, if you live in a van and a girl will still have sex with you, then you got to marry them. We got into a big argument. She wanted a fucking 7-piece band. And I'm like, no. This is ridiculous. Pay each person $200. That's $1,400. I mean, I swear to God, weddings, it's a fucking sham. The whole thing is a sham because you can rent a room for a few $100s, but as soon as they find out it's for a wedding, they'll charge you $7,000. You know, it's fucking crazy. You got to use your first principle reasoning here. You know, you got to assess the situation. Don't reason by analogy. Reason by first principles, as Elon Musk would say. The beautiful Elon Musk. I think he's on his 5th marriage. He's got like 5 kids from just the first wife. He homeschools them all, probably on iPads or Teslas. They just drive around. Elon Musk's children drive around in Teslas, and that's where they are homeschooled, by the car. It's like that car from that TV show in the 80s, that Kit TV show. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, but I'm trying to seed funding for that app, Swiping. It's like Tinder, but for father-in-laws. You find a good father-in-law, then you'll find the daughter-in-law. No. Then you'll find your wife. That's what I meant to say. What else? Jared from Subway is volunteering at St. Jude's Children's Hospital. He's doing an outreach program from prison where they let prisoners go and do volunteer work. And so they're letting him volunteer at St. Jude's, you know, where the kids have cancer. No, I'm kidding, but that would be amazing, huh? Fucking Jared. I'm worried about him in prison, but they do say that he's losing weight in prison. And in a turn of irony, in a beautiful twist of irony, Jared from Subway is he's working the kitchen at the prison. I swear to God, they have him making sandwiches, footlongs, 6-inch, new veggie delight, tuna wraps, you name it. He's doing it. He's serving a long 16 years in prison. Boy, that guy fucked it up. He was a millionaire. Jared from Subway I Googled it. He was worth $16 million. And the guy, all you had to do was just not diddle kids, you know? And he just couldn't manage that. That was too hard of a task for him. He could get fat. He could do whatever well, no, he couldn't get fat either. But all you had to do, I mean, you have $16 million. Imagine if I handed you a check that's not going to bounce for $16 million. And the stipulation is all you have to do is not molest anyone. That's all he had to do. People are saying we got to preserve the planet. This is pissing me off. Preserve the planet for who? You know? It's like, eventually, okay, preserve the planet for the kids. Well, how many kids? Because eventually, you know what I mean? Unless we time, because eventually there's going to be a last generation of kids. Unless Elon sends all his kids to Mars. But otherwise, unless we time the last generation of kids with the moment the sun explodes, there's gonna be some kids that are left fucked without a musical chair to sit in. You know what I mean? You know that game, Musical Chairs? That's how humanity is going to end. Somebody's gonna be left without a chair to sit in. There's gonna be one generation that's just fucked. So that's part of the reason why we need to get to Mars immediately. Become a multi-planetary species. But these people who are arguing like, Elon's running away from Earth's problems, these billion... No, he's not. The same problems that are on Earth are going to be on Mars. Elon sets up a colony on Mars. I give it a year tops before people start littering on Mars. You know, before someone throws a Snickers bar wrapper. Snickers bar, that'd be fucking crazy. Although one time in New York, I gave a protein bar to a homeless guy. He asked me for food. I gave him a protein bar. And then what does he do? He goes, I don't like this. And he threw it. And the audacity. I never gave them food. I never gave them protein again. You got to find out what they like to eat. Because they all have, I'm not trying to be funny, but they all have food restrictions. I recently walked by a homeless guy with like a halal meal. And and he just... Usually I keep going because I'm broke, But this guy was pretty nice, and so I open up the and I'm like, "Do you like this, or that food?" And he goes, "Nah." He goes, "Can you buy me a drink?" And I go, "All right, what do you want? A Gatorade or something?" He goes, "A Modelo." I'm like, "Dude, I can't buy you beer, man. Like, I can't in good conscience. Although maybe I should have." One time the last time I gave a homeless person money, it was right before I got into the grocery store. Then I get in there, I see him in the liquor aisle, and I'm like, "Come on, man, what are you doing? Like, it's cold out." Like, I mean, well, I guess that could be decent logic. But he looks at me sheepishly and he shrugs and he goes, "Hey, man, I'm just trying to open up the gates of heaven, man, you know." And now I can laugh about it. At the time, I was fucking pissed because I hate spending money. And I gave him money and he just blew it on something that's going to hurt him. I was like, "Come on, man, at least buy a fucking banana along with your tequila, you know? Banana tequila." Been complaining a lot to a few friends. Disney. I think Disney's ruined a lot of people's lives because expectations are the root of all suffering, I believe, because expectations are tied to wants and desires, and human desire is tied to the majority of our suffering. You know, and Disney is at the root of all our fucking expectations. You know, we grew up and we didn't realize we were going to have health issues, and we didn't realize, you know, Disney, stop lying to kids that their adult lives are going to be great. Make a Disney movie where the protagonist has to work in an Amazon warehouse, you know, and he has to fill his pee bottles, you know, and then Amazon set up a meditation booths now where I've heard that the employees are just going in there to cry. I think they're called mental health cry closets. So now the employees can collect their tears and urine in the same bottles. But like, come on, Disney, like, would you just be honest with the kids? Like, make a realistic Disney movie where the kid's in poverty, where he has to work a low-paying retail job, where even Target is switching to self-checkouts instead of employee cashiers. McDonald's is switching to self-service robots. I mean, you know, it's funny, too, because fast food jobs are the fastest-growing jobs in America as of last year. And now McDonald's employees asked for minimum wage. They asked for just a living wage. Just a living wage to make it another 20 years until all the McDonald's they eat will kill them. That's all they asked from the McDonald's brothers. I know. And McDonald's was like, "You know what we're going to do? Instead of a living wage, how about we just make robots that will make your hamburgers?" And you know what? It's not a bad idea. People hate working at McDonald's. I myself, I don't know if I told you guys this, but over the pandemic, I applied to McDonald's. I applied to McDonald's for a job. I did it as a joke, but it was also right around the corner from my house. So I was like, "Oh, well, whatever. I can make some money. We're in the middle of a pandemic, you know." And I got the interview, and I lied so much during that interview. I've been fired from every job I've ever had. And I told her in the interview, the manager, she's like, "So why do you want to work here?" And I'm like, "Honestly, lady, I applied here as a joke." I didn't say that because I actually wanted the job. But I wanted to ask her, "Why do you want to work here? Why do you want to manage McDonald's? Don't you have any self-respect, woman?" Like, I wanted to give her a pep talk. But it was also pretty sad because I was there interviewing. And it's, you know, at the time, it really was my best proposition in life. So I lied during the interview. She's like, "Tell me something about you, like how you work." And I'm like, "Well, I always show up on time." She goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah, I've learned the only way to show up on time is to get there early." That's not true. I've never been early. In fact, the last job I had, I was driving a truck around Manhattan. I had to be there at 9 a.m. I would routinely show up at 11 a.m. And I would just text my boss that I was having, like, stomach problems and that I'd be a little late. I mean, he was a little casual. He was a little loose. Anyways, it's open enrollment season. Who's feeling slutty for health insurance, huh? Shack up. Start this is another reason to get married. Health insurance. If your partner has a good job, you fucking shack up. You put out, all right? You put out for that insurance. Put out for that Blue Shield, Blue Cross, United Healthcare, Metro Plus, you name it. I'm going to start an OnlyPlans account. You know, it's like an OnlyFans, but for health insurance favors. It's like where I will jerk off on camera and be a cam boy, take sexual pictures in my thongs and my non-binary beaters in exchange for health services. I got a bad neck. I could use a chiropractor. I could use a new psychiatrist. My psychiatrist, I don't have any idea what she's up to. There was a funny story. Let's see. Upworthy, where the fuck are you, man? Oh yeah, I got fed up with. All right, here's a positive news story. All right, you ready for this? I think this is Africa. It's got to be Africa. The Malawi female chief came to power. Great, female chief. She annulled over 1,500 child marriages, making it illegal and sending those child brides back to school. That's fucking beautiful, right? That's a positive story. I mean, it's still a little peculiar, but, you know, what are you going to do? Child brides and child soldiers, I mean, these are two of the best jobs unfortunately, in some countries. But I think it's pretty cool that children can no longer get married because marriage is hard. And children, they just don't have the skills. If you're in a bad relationship or a bad marriage, look up John Gottman's book, 7 Principles for Making a Marriage Work. It's actually a really good book. There are things like, all right, so what destroys a lot of relationships are things like resenting your partner, criticizing their core character, and things that help your relationship are things where you admire your partner, things where you admire their core character, and also where you both make repair attempts constantly. Because all couples get into fights. It's kind of like blowing out a tire, right? You blow out a tire in a car. All cars get flat tires, but couples that make it know how to repair those tires. So you learn how to make little bids, emotional bids to each other, which are called repair attempts. Check it out, John Gottman's book. I only know this because the first time I moved into a van, she broke up with me, and God, that was a wreck. I was in my van crying alone, parked by the Hudson River. I swear to God. Then I realized that I was living in a van down by the river. Yeah, man, it was a rough time. There were a lot of nights crying alone in my van. So I read all kinds of relationship books. I had a lot of time on my hands to think. I was also hosting at the time a self-help podcast, which is kind of funny. This podcast is, I don't know, not really self-help. It's fun. But yeah, you shouldn't be hosting a self-help podcast if you're mentally ill and living in a van. Feels a little ironic. Drink LaCroix, the unofficial sponsor of canceled culture. So yeah, child marriages. I had a joke recently about, oh yeah, if a child soldier who does jihad, listen, I'm Syrian, I could joke about this, and even if I couldn't, I still would, because this is CancelJoeNami. Child soldier, if they commit jihad, which is holy war, right? And he's only, let's say, 10. Does he still get the 72 virgins in heaven? Because he hasn't hit puberty yet, so he can't even use those virgins. Does it roll over? Are there rollover virgins? Or does he continue to go through puberty in heaven? These are the big questions. These are the hard-hitting questions. Yeah, Yeah, man, these kids, though, the child marriages, kids are good with technology. Like, these little Syrian kids, they're pretty good with these RPG rocket launchers, you know. You'd be surprised how much, I mean, they're intuitive. It's just like an iPad, you know, but on their shoulder. RPG, an iPad, but on the shoulder of a child soldier. So, yeah, if you can either become a child soldier or a child bride, unfortunately, in some of these countries. And, you know, that's not my fault. I mean, I'm just pointing it out. But there's there's a lot of corruption in these countries, some of them. You know, people just fucking taking bribes and shit. Like, a lot of the money, actually, like, a lot of these countries, trying to think which African nation it is, though, but there's, like, global agriculture companies that export food out. They export the food out of the country, and then it goes to wherever. Like, for example, like tangerines or oranges or something might leave Africa and go to Florida, you know? Like, that's an example of... So there's a monopoly. I read a book about world hunger years ago, and this was the case, is that there's plenty of fucking food. It's just that the food is getting exported out. It's being controlled by corporations, agricultural corporations. And the local farmers would even riot. They would even riot and burn shit. And, like, trust me, they're mad. But this isn't, you know, this story's getting buried under Russia, Ukraine, the Kardashians, Justin Bieber's twat, stuff like that. You know, they export an orange out of one of these nations, and the starving person is like, "Hey, could I have that? Could I eat that? I'm starving." And they're like, no. This orange is going to be ground up and used for Febreze products. We could Febreze you if you want. It's the world we live in, I guess. What else? Oh, this was another positive story, okay? Sweden has rolled out a great initiative. Blood donors get a text message whenever their blood saves a life. That's beautiful, right? Because I don't want to donate blood. I'm not seeing the reward, the fruits of my labor. Like, I'm not going to let you stick me with a needle unless I'm going to get high. Maybe that's what they should do. They should have blood donors that also includes a little injection of ketamine, you know, or opioids. I mean, you know which one. Heroin. But no, I think this is smart because it reinforces the behavior. You know, a lot of us are like, why would I want to go and donate blood? Like, it's too abstract. It's too cerebral. But when you see the person whose life you could potentially be saving, I could see how that would be very valuable. I would love to receive a text message or even a dick pic from the person that I save with my blood. You know, or a Snapchat, or a social security number, or really just anything that they can offer me. This is capitalism. No, but seriously, a picture, a smile, a wink, a back rub. Back rubs for blood. There you go. There you go. There's a winning idea. All right, you go to that parking lot where they have the RV and they donate the blood, right? It's always in an RV. Isn't that weird? Watching Breaking Bad again. That's where they make meth and where they donate blood, in RVs. But I think that they should have back rubs for blood. All right, so you go in, you donate your blood, and then the person who needs the blood, the person who doesn't have a kidney or whatever the hell they did wrong, you know, if they were scuba diving, they hit a rock, and now they need your blood, they should have to give you a back rub, and then I mean, that seems like a pretty fair trade. Just a little bit of labor. It's like how if you go into a restaurant and you can't pay for your meal, sometimes they'll make you wash the dishes. I mean, I've never done this. I always just dine and dash, but some people stay and wash the dishes. My favorite job I ever had, I was working in a Mediterranean restaurant. And, I mean, there was food that just wasn't touched. I mean, this is a 4-star restaurant. I'm exaggerating. But, that was the best job I ever had, man. Oh, I was eating, like, hummus and tabbouleh and lebne and meats and kebabs and chickens. And, I mean, you know, did I lose some dignity? No, you get over it. When you're a waiter, you get over it after just a few days. And if you're hungry enough, you can sacrifice all your dignity because eating feels so good, especially when it's great food, you know. I don't regret it. I don't care what I mean, I've eaten out of the garbage before, but that was only on my birthday. On my birthday, Dunkin' Donuts threw out, at the end of the night, they threw out their donuts. Because they're fools. No, they do it because, I don't know, every day they need fresh shit, I guess. It's like, why not just give the donuts to the homeless? I mean, what are you worried about? Diabetes? Like, trust me, they'd rather be fed. They don't care. Diabetes before death. That would be the name of my charity. One time, I was working on a commercial shoot, and we had a ton of food left over, and I asked the guy if we could donate it to there was a lot of homeless people in the neighborhood, and there were hundreds of dollars worth of Chinese dumplings. Doesn't matter that they're Chinese. I just mentioned it. And I was like, can we give the food to the homeless people in the neighborhood? And he goes, no, it's because legally, if they eat it and they get sick, they can sue us. And so I realized that, oh, like we have a legal system where it's safer just to let people die. Go figure. Thank you, America. That's a fun one, huh? All right. Amazon tribe wins legal battle against oil companies preventing drilling in the Amazon rainforest. Wow. A tribe went to the courts? That's surprising. Where did they get a pro bono lawyer, huh? I'm surprised. I mean, do we really need the Amazon rainforest? Yes, I think we do because it produces a good chunk of the oxygen on Earth. Trees do. I don't know if you know that. Amazon, Jeff Bezos. Amazon, the company, right, that ships all our items to us, doesn't produce any oxygen, all right? They produce millions of products, no oxygen. This is a zero-sum game, which we will lose. So that's a lot of fun. All right, I think that's the end of this episode. We got to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go fuck yourself. See you next time. Cancel Joe Nami.